Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ben Talks About, where I, Benjamin Contreras, talk about stuff that I feel like talking about. Now, if you guys saw my previous video that I did on the Zaku 2 kit, you would have known that if I actually had good timing when releasing videos, the one you would have seen last week would have been this one, where I do my own little bit of a celebration as a part of what it's called Ghibli Fest 2018, which is in celebration of the legendary animation company Studio Ghibli, and last week they celebrated by re-airing what is considered one of their most popular films, Princess Mononoke. Now, I've seen this movie quite a number of times now, and there are a lot of things that I could talk about it, but for the sake of time, I only decided to pick one specific thing that I sort of interpreted from the movie when I saw it. And that is in regards to its cast of characters and how the film sort of does a don't judge a book kind of by its cover kind of theme when in regards to them. Now, if we don't have any more interruptions, let's get started on that. Now, what I would consider the cover of this book is the first scene we see of a war that's going on in the film that serves as the major focus, which is the war against the humans in a city called Irontown and the forest gods that take the form of like animals like wolves, boars, and so on and so forth. Now, the first scene that we see them in battle, it sort of gives the reader a sort of what I'd say a fake interpretation of how the sides are characterized. It would be safe to assume like, oh, the animal gods in this battle are sort of like the underdogs or the rebellion sort of characters to the sort of empire dictatorship kind of I wouldn't really say dictatorship, but more authoritarian kind of group when in regards to the humans. You know, that's what the viewer sort of gets at first, but when the focus shifts back to our main character, Prince Ashitaka, he finds his way into Irontown after he rescues two of its civilians, and this allows us to have more of a bigger picture as to what Irontown is, the people who inhabit it, and as well as their leader called Lady Eboshi. And it actually turns out that the place isn't all that bad. All the characters seem to be rather happy to be living there. And the leader herself is a very respectable leader. She treats her citizens with the respect that they deserve, considering a lot of them are going out to the battlefield for what is pretty much her personal motive of, you know, getting rid of the forest and, you know, taking it over. And while that may seem like a stereotypical goal, it's the character herself that really sort of tries to make her a bit more of a sympathetic kind of character, something less Emperor Palpatine and more like Big Boss from the Metal Gear Solid series. That's the character I'd probably compare her to the most when trying to interpret the kind of character she is. And on the opposite side of this war are the animal gods. And right after a specific scene near the transition between the beginning and middle of the movie, after Ashitaka rescues Princess Mononoke herself, or San, as that's what her real name is, they both leave Irontown, and as a result of this rescue, the rest of the animal tribes don't really get along all that much with the wolf tribe, which San is a part of. The ape tribe um, is sort of like the stereotypical, I would say, kind of characters in this film, because they're like, oh, he's human, you shouldn't have saved him. All they do is wreck the forest. While the other tribe that we see, the Boar tribe, is simply mad at the fact that the forest god um, healed Ashitaka, this human, instead of one of their own, who I believe his name was Nago, or something along those lines, who was the demon boar that cursed Ashitaka in the beginning of the movie. So with those in mind, and the fact that the wolf tribe is also very cautious when in regards to them, you know, the fact that all the animal tribes are kind of at each other's throats throughout the film, it sort of creates this ironic twist where the animal tribes in the film actually are a bit more, feel like more of a metaphor for how humans act in the real world compared to the actual humans in the movie, which was kind of an interesting thing that I figured out when I was watching the film. It's like, you know, these roles, I feel like they're kind of reversed in a way, and I feel like that makes the story all the more interesting. The fact that, you know, it does a complete 180 from what you interpret it as in the beginning of the film. Now, granted, this doesn't make the humans any less of was most likely the antagonist of the movie. After all, the stuff that they do cause a lot of major problems. Like, they were the ones who turned the boar in the beginning of the movie into a demon, which then cursed Ashitaka with this curse, you could say. And they still have the motive of taking over the forest and all that, but the characters themselves are still very respectable and likable in their own right. And that's one of the reasons I feel like this film is so popular, that is because of how different it is compared to other, you know, war movies or stories based on these kind of battles. You know, you always want to make sure that both sides are sort of equal in their own right, you know, not one side is completely good and not one side is completely evil. So that's sort of what I got when in regards to the characters of this movie. And, you know, that's just the tip of the iceberg on the kind of stuff that's in this film that is not only popular, but also, I was going to say liked by so many others, but that's sort of, those are sort of synonyms. But if you guys have seen this film and have a different interpretation of it and have different opinions on it, make sure to tell me in the comment section down below. I'd really like to hear your opinions on it, and I had a lot of fun talking about it. So this isn't actually the end of my look at anime films on this channel, as this video is a bit of the start of a trilogy of videos that I want to make of some rather popular anime films that I saw recently, and as a result I think it'd be kind of fun to give you guys, all of you, my opinion on them. So next time we won't be going into the past like this movie, but rather we'll be going into a rather dangerous and kind of underdeveloped future. But until next, we won't hear about that until next week. So until then, I'm Benjamin Contreras, and bye.